The PNP politics is criminal, tribal, and therefore corrupt. Mark Golding has got to go with his corruption and the long bag of taxes. My beloved people, that was hard to say. It was hard to say because it is very unfortunate. And to the comrades, it is painful to listen to. It is full time you feel that pain but still accept the truth. A mother who has a son that went wayward finds the truth hard too. If she gets offended when the neighbors say they saw him stealing, she tries to cover his deeds while he continues with the ungodly practices. Eventually, it brings greater harm. She washes out blood in a bucket to hide the evil works of her son. Not good for the collective. You rather to say the two parties are the same, which is a lie in itself. Both parties are imperfect. It does not amount to them being the same. You cannot equate the bite of a little pepper ant with that of the cobra now. Can you? Notice how easily people will criticize and broadside at the JLP without expecting they will be attacked. Be honest now. Is it the same with the PNP? Can you go out in any square you choose in Jamaica and declare your allegiance to the JLP? Huh? You don't have to answer now. We both know the truth. But because it seems to favor them, the PNP is not incentivized to change the evil. Hmm? This also speaks badly about its leaders. The greed for power has sent many men, supposed to be of high standards, into demon and drankro modes. This is no good at all. No, it's not good. I know the words are harsh. One old person once told me that nothing hurts like the truth, and now I am shocked finding out. Bear with me. Listen to this video, and I will open your eyes to this perspective that is too close to your noses that you never did see. Did you? Hey everyone, it's Skywalker, and I smell and drink only Jamaican coffee. I smell and I drink only Jamaican coffee. Please, my people, smell the coffee sometimes and it will be good for you. I will take a deep dive, but not in any way meaning to hurt or attack. It's just to tell a truth that I noticed for years, but almost feared how difficult it will be to point it out. Comrades are religiously committed to the PNP. In fact, the PNP connect them almost like a cult. So, not even their children are more important to them than party. When I began to realize the problems in the party, I also noticed these things too. I wonder why Jamaica must go through this. The connection between the PNP and the growth of organized crime in Jamaica is one. It is one I almost don't know how to begin explaining because it is not only damaging, but it is like a child whose father is a great hero, but then he grew up to find that his father was actually the leader of the largest criminal outfit. Again, you will say that both parties are bad. I will agree that both and every party in the world for that matter does badly at times. However, this is a fundamental difference, my people. Even the most intelligent PNP supporters are missing the point. If you ask yourself why the JLP does not have garrisons and be honest to the truth, you will begin to see the differences. Even Tivoli, as a garrison, was literally forced into being one because of attacks from the PNP. It was forced. People who come and see Tivoli without understanding the beginning of these things will simply say both parties were farming garrison. But it was not so. Why did JLP only have one garrison then? Does that make any sense to you? Huh? PNP could start an election with up to 14 or so safe seats, while JLP only had one because they only wanted one garrison. Hmm? How would that make sense? I remember when an entire NHD housing scheme in Hanover was set up to become a stronghold of the PNP. It was done in a way that only PNP supporters got houses. This is how the housing trust was used in the past. It's similar to how the IC was made up of PNP comrades and the JLP foolishly went with the arrangement. I will repeat. The IC was made up of PNP comrades and the JLP foolishly, in good faith, went with the arrangement, although knowing how the PNP works. Today, we see the results. Nearer to the elections, the PNP moles in different government positions will begin to incite unrest and strikes. It is tantamount to treason. The PNP cares little about growth in our country. They only care about them being in power and how many funds they can create from taxing us to use for their own personal wallets. This is why they never have enough money, no matter how much tax they collect. PNP councillors and MPs never have money to spend, do they now? Huh? Do they ever get much done? The PNP is good for elections and it is good for cementing itself in power by embedding moles in government to work even when they are on the opposition side, but not good for the people of Jamaica. Look what they and their comrades did to the Integrity Commission, and now every lie they tell only expose them more. By the way, what did the IC say about Mocha's raid on the parish council recently? Tell me. They can hardly do a thing or hardly own the wrongdoers because they are PNP themselves, and that's how PNP work. Huh? They cannot be fear because they are like a cult. I think they were suggesting the same thing about both parties, though. Like to say both parties did the same, but only the PNP are involved here. It's always the PNP here. The PNP only breeds crime and poverty. Crime because it has to accommodate its foot soldiers who are gangsters, and poverty because it must take corruption to sustain this kind of a modus operandi. Mark Golding pretends to believe that siding with gangsters and incentivizing criminals is reforming anyone, but he knows the truth is opposite to that. He is only sending subliminal messages of support to his gangster cronies. This, well, to his credit, this is the standard that the Englishman came and saw. So we cannot blame him for creating it. We can blame him for taking to it like a fish to water and being worse than everyone else from the get go. He is way more zealous with this criminal behavior, more than anyone since Portia Simpson, who destroyed entire communities to entrench her comrades, and Michael Manley, who masterminded the greatest tribalistic strategies ever. I am sorry to have to say negative things about great Jamaicans, but I told myself, I promised Skywalker before the soul and God that I will never belittle the truth. Never. The PNP is breeding an adverse and malevolent mindset to upcoming generations, even after they long agreed to cancel that kind of politics, and their fathers sit down and watch without saying a thing. Mark Golding has no value or strength as a person or a leader. So he has gone for nuclear against the laws of heaven. The PNP is literally sunk low into demon mode. Not one PNP leader will rise to help me tell this truth. It is so sad. PJ Pattison, where are you, sir? I doubt that Lisa Hanna can say a thing, and Crawford seems like he was born compromised. I mean, that's how he seems. They grow up with this adverse and tribal mindset, and for some confusing reason, they believe that it is sustainable to bring any good to our country. At least, maybe you can give him um the benefit of the doubt here because that's what he came and saw. He grew insulated in this bubble. That's all he knows about. They were mal cultivated because it spanned the generation next. And I always call this young man's name, but it's because of something deeper too. I know that there is something inside him. People, we have to start thinking Jamaica, not just party. Gangs are like capitalists, like Mark Golding and Bunting. The word patriotism does not resonate with them in general. They only seek their own. Yet it takes an intelligent gang member to see the truth about where I am coming from and to even become concerned about the country. For that reason, some gangsters that found comfort and have time to sit back on their intelligence will begin to decipher what has happened to their people. And some will become more of our heroes than destroyers in the years to come. Mark my words and look, you will see. It's like by this present PNP stance, they are the last line of defense, and some of them will rise and speak. I mean, who else is there then if not them? They will be able to tell their admiring fans that it is not worth it. And why? Give Dudos the chance today and he will. I would wager a bet that Vibes Cartel would be better for Jamaica than Mark Golding in their present state. And this is not endorsing criminality. It is explaining why something is burnt, but it comes out of the oven as bread. It is a complex situation, I know, but it's not different from what occurred in other countries. Bunting is like a sold soul. He is like a sold soul. He is drained and only have to comply. Mark Golding has no interest in black people's success. He is just a white capitalist man from London whose legacy was always to see his ancestors thrive on the pains of our black people. Do you believe that any one of Golding's plan will help our people? You already know the answer. But because he is in the PNP, you do like the mother, washing away the blood. This thing must stop for Jamaica to grow. The great names in many countries of the West today came from a legacy of gangsterism, but now they are involved in business. And many of them have seen the other side of life. There are too many people in Jamaica today who should have been encouraged to transition to legitimate business. But no, they are encouraged to remain a facility for foot soldiers that drive fear, that directs people where to go at the polls. The Jamaican people have always been used against their own under a false notion that money alone matters. The worst part about the problems with the PNP today is that their stalwarts and fathers only stay aside and watch, having nothing to say, almost as in fear of not being regarded as being morally elevated themselves. I don't know about that part. What I know is that Jamaica cannot make any headway with an entire political party, the biggest one in the Caribbean, being so compromised that it is in criminal mode all day. Even the comrades, the honest comrades, must get out of denial the way I did myself and address the addiction. I understand how the PNP got here because of an addiction for power. No, I know. The next thing you will do is point fingers at the JLP and say that both parties are the same. That is all you do all the time. No party in the world is perfect, but that does not make the JLP just like the PNP. Remember how the PNP taxed Jamaica forever and still could not find funds to do a damn thing? No, look how the JLP drops taxes, refuses to take more taxes, and still delivers so much progress. They did it because they made one simple policy change. It takes the little policy changes, the little policy differences to make two parties different. And that's why the PNP has at least 9 garrisons today, but the JLP has one. Well, none. And the closest you can go to them having one is simply but the memory of Tivoli. No, that point is a very huge difference. Today, when the PNP is still employing gangsters like their personal military, we must all be concerned. Even the mothers and children of the politicians involved must be concerned. The insatiable greed for power is overriding their human sanity. This is not good. It is not. Arnett Gardens, which is jungle, Denham Town, Greenwich Town, Hannah Town, Jonestown, Maxfield Park, Rima, which is Wilton Gardens, and Trenchtown. These are great garrison communities established by PNPism. The relationship between politicians and gangs in these areas has created an eternal challenge to law enforcement. The relationship between politicians and gangs in this area has created an eternal challenge to law enforcement. It has created an eternal challenge to law enforcement. One former policeman who now has a YouTube channel for the above reason cited describes the People's National Party as a criminal organization and the facts that the Jamaica young police who is not even political and who comes from a PNP garrison presence are overwhelming. However, they allowed me the space inside my head to really be honest and embrace these truths that we're trying to push to the fore forever as I grew up as a staunch member of the PNP, telling everyone that both parties are the same, that high up a drankro, and that Siaga called us all black scandal bags. PNP propaganda at its best. It's the same propaganda being used on Andrew Holness now, or Andrew Ackrock, or the Integrity Commission fine Andrew, all sort of foolishness. You know what I'm talking about. It's PNP propaganda at its best. It's nothing new. The first they will do is try to cut the opponent to their low and then to beat him. It is like someone as little as Mark Golding trying to trick you into believing that Andrew Holness is as low as he is, just to be able to measure up in a face off. He solicited the entire IC of self hating slaves to do the deal. In Jamaica, I am troubled that this kind is still too easy to find. It's too easy to find. A tar black guy looking through the window and saying, Massa, Massa, a slave they run. And when the slave master asks, who is he? What does he look like? He says, he looks like me, Massa, chop off his toe. There's too many like this. It now amazes me to think that PNP is usually drawn to dark politics that have a very negative effect on the mindset of our citizens. To say it is destructive, uncaring politics is really to put it mildly. It would be like saying that a nuclear missile dropped downtown in the city of Kingston on the busiest day can probably kill someone. Instead of facing the truth and fixing the issues, we try to find the one remote case where the JLP was culpable or just being suspected of being culpable of the same, but on much smaller scales, to say that the both parties are the same. It is a divisive and evil strategy in itself. It has to stop. If not, then the PNP will only be Jamaica's destruction, or will continue being so. The party leaders must stop making their priority about winning an election, especially where Jamaica is actually doing better now. But they are bent on deliberate denial and fooling the people into seeing otherwise. There is a positive where it buys them much more time to fix themselves properly for future power. If you are baking bread and it's not done yet, but you claim you are hungry, what good is it to take it back raw from the oven instead of waiting 10 minutes more? Sometimes it is the greed itself that is destructive. Greed should never be the purpose of politics. There must be a more honorable reason, and that's why we address people by that word, honorable, and the most honorable. But Mark Golding, Peter Bunting, Dayton Campbell, and these civil servants and politicians gone rogue has made the word into a lie. Justice Panton has literally polarized the meaning of justice and integrity in one go. Bam! That's what will happen when judges turn into grudges. I mean, just one genius flick whoop and polarize the meaning of something good. On one hand, we have a JLP party that is doing everything to lower taxes, that took over from a PNP party that could never seem to have enough to do one damn thing, no matter how much they taxed us. And they never stopped taxing us, yet they never had any money. Do you notice that the first thing they say about what to expect from them has something to do with tax? You heard Crawford and you heard Dayton and you heard Mark Golding about making healthcare more affordable. Even after taxing us so hard, they still had to borrow money just for the general running of the country. But they believe that this is not a sign of corruption. Cause where did the money go? If you gave somebody some money to go and buy 10 pounds of rice for $100 a pound, and he comes back and tells you he could only get 4 pounds because the money wasn't enough. Where did the money go? Would you say that some corruption or some deceit was involved? Or would you say the man who came back with the full 10 pound just because someone raised propaganda against him is the one who is stealing? It's the same scenario between Andrew Holness and Mark Golding. Mark Golding is one of those bunch that came up missing. They didn't even spend half, not even a quarter of the money they collected on us. But Andrew Holness is the one who is coming up with 100+ percent. And they say he's the one who is stealing from us. Isn't that the clear scenario that's going on? Oh man. On the other hand, we have a JLP party in power that is refusing to tax us anymore, but is instead reducing taxes. Yet, from the little we are giving them, they are running mega projects without borrowing from anyone. They are finding more money than we could even dream about because we are not used to such goody goody privileges. Yet, the PNP claims that the JLP are the thieves and corrupt ones. Make that make sense. The JLP is the party that makes you see where and how your money is being spent. But Mark Golding, whose party is in the opposition and already threatening taxes and hospital fees and funding an entire gang, claim that they are the ones with integrity and bro God a thief. What can go so, Mr. Crawford? What can go so? Are you a part of this shameful and sickening thing? We all have come short at times. I was a comrade, but it's hard to have a conscience and still remain under that column right now. It will be that way until the PNP fixes the PNP. Jamaica will end up inside of the coast butthole again. Mark my words. Mark my words. It is unsustainable, right? It will be that way until the PNP fixes the PNP. I said, if they stay in demon mode and if they follow a leader who remains in drankro settings, Jamaica will end up inside of the coast but whole. I must repeat. Someone has to change. Go to church or something. I don't know. We have seen a recent police raid. We have seen a recent police raid, a Mocha raid, on the PNP led St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. But the IC is still distracted trying to turn Andrew Holness into Mark Golding. Mocha conducted the raid as part of a major fraud investigation. But what I saw is just what is all in a day's work for the gangsters and their PNP cronies. It's the PNP way. This is why, if you look inside their party, you will see how many there are naturally linked to criminals. Criminal minds are not there to help the collective. It is a self serving mindset. Do you see people like Golding and Angela Brownberg doing much for their constituencies with the funds they receive from government? Huh? Is the fact that they produce less with their funds proof that they are less corrupt? Maybe at election time, some of them will turn public funds into personal sponsorships. Let's see. And then let's say, here we go again. But when will we fix it? We all know the routine. Let's face it and demand change. Mocha's investigations revealed what has been forever known about the PNP's way of doing business. It's an open secret, but we counter the truth by saying both parties are the same. Although the facts say otherwise, we point to the bite from a little sugar ant to compare with the bite of a huge cobra, and then we say, see, they are both the same. So just choose PNP and done. Moreover, they use propaganda to say that look how Andrew thief, although nothing is missing. They say 3 trillion missing, although the country grew the 3 trillion worth overall. You can easily see the development. Rub some comrades' nose in the shit, and they tell you that you lying because they don't smell this thing. That kind of behavior must cease. It must stop. That mal-cultivated comrade mindset is setting us back. Comrades claim that the JLP is just as tribal and intimidating with their politics and just as garrisoned. Funny how you can go and shout PNP slogans almost, if not everywhere. Outside of Kingston, I bet if you go to other parishes, even as far as Manchester, you will find areas where the people will be challenged to openly declare themselves as JLP supporters. I mean, even in cool Manchester, you will be challenged in some places. Intimidation politics. It is the PNP's mode of operation, and as PJ Patterson will tell you, by all means necessary. PJ is an old man now, and he should have the wisdom to explain that the end cannot justify the means anymore. When it leaves our people tribal, corrupt, and criminal. Is there no love in our comrade leaders' hearts anymore? Or maybe love was just never a thing in the face of greed for power. One party says, shower, showers of blessing. The other declares power, which kind of sounds rogue in itself, isn't it? Words are the strongest energy forces, aren't they? The PNP starts out before election day with at least 8 garrisons, assuring that number in their victory column, taking people's votes by any means necessary. Compare that to the JLP's Tivoli, which was built because of sustained PNP pressure and which has evolved to be out of the frame of a true garrison community. Edward Siaga did see the danger to Jamaica and wanted to change it. He wanted to get rid of garrisons and dealing with gangs. PNP always objected to anything that remotely made these suggestions. This is why we are still here. Mark Golding is openly hugging up gangsters as all Jamaican has witnessed. It even came on the news multiple times, but no one would call it out. The Integrity Commission would rather go around making up stories about Andrew Holness. This in itself is criminal and treasonous. Yeah, it is criminal and treasonous. Mocha's recent investigations found that multiple fraudulent schemes were in process at the hands of these comrade leaders. These include no-show contracts that were used to siphon over $1 billion from the government's purse via the municipal cooperation that these comrades run. But Mark Golding claims that Andrew Holness is the thief for having his own hard-earned little bit. And black folks do believe him because he has white privilege in Jamaica. Andrew knows too big for him. Andrew knows is too big for him, hmm, to be giving his son shares in a business. The same thing that the white London man did for his own son. How many times must I say, born white privilege in Jamaica? During the raids, authorities found $1.5 million in cash and 94 bullets at one location. And as usual, expect that no one was arrested because the politicians will protect their gangsters. In fact, in this case, the politicians are obviously involved. So, dear, these comrades say that it's Brogard who is corrupt, though. Is this the reason why Mark so desperately needs to control the corporations? Huh? In a sense, it reaches back to his campaign funding too, isn't it? If you don't see how, then it makes no sense to even say. These gangsters are political soldiers, aren't they? And all you nicey big mouth comrades, this is what you associate with. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. The first time I listened to this YouTuber named the Jamaica Young Police, it felt like a dagger. But then, me being a sucker for the truth, I put my two and two together with my own experiences and saw where truth lies. And not going to stifle my conscience. Historically, the PNP depended on Dans to enforce their will in garrison communities, but they used the fact that one area, Tivoli, had become a garrison in order to survive as a counter to say the two parties are the same. TJ Patterson got the benefit of the most powerful Dan or Dans to help him stay how many terms in power, right? Wholeness has to be trying his best to gain a third term without one garrison. Think about that. Today, this video will open your eyes to clarity. The people known as Tivali came from those that were under siege and had to survive. If you live anywhere in that region, your elders and Portia Simpson could explain well the dilemma these people were in. They had no choice whatsoever. The PNP forged mutual arrangements with Dance and succeeded at elections for it, even to the point where frustrated JLP members wanted to fight fire with fire, but Edward Siaga at the time disagreed because of the negative effect it would have on Jamaica as a nation. PJ, say you should have shame on yourself. Had it not been for that leadership position, Jamaica would have been worse than Haiti today. PJ, say you should have shame on yourself. The PNP gangsters give the party control over votes, and the party give gangsters protection. No one was arrested in the raids. You see? And also, they give the gangsters free reign to extort, and it's like also a part of their payback. How can the PNP then claim to help Jamaica? Explain. The PNP will never find enough money if they tax you 90% of your earnings. How will that grow this country? Explain. We must start waking up and smelling the coffee like I do every day. We must start to realize that a spade is not a damned fork. The Dans are allowed under the PNP to extort and ravage with impunity. The PNP might claim the power to turn the crime rate up or down, especially to frustrate the actions of the JLP. However, there is no way that this will benefit them in the long run because each man is born with two balls, and no gang leader is going to remain under orders from a politician, especially someone like a Mark Goldie. Bad man not going to accept that. Unless he is weaker than others. Like he is a pushover. The PNP plays with fire. Mark Golding gets clout for hugging up gangsters and ignoring upright Jamaican youths. But it's not going to benefit the country. To solve the issue of crime in Jamaica, the government must first dissolve gang politics, but that would be difficult. Gang politics is a staple in the PNP political sphere. They have always chosen not to give it up because it wins them votes. They don't care about you, my people. It sounds hard and it sucks. I know, but your comrade leaders don't give a damn about you, and you already know that the country will fail under the PNP, but you are like a cult mind. You cannot do right by your own truth. You stick to party no matter what. This ungodly thing must stop because Jamaica cannot continue with a party that holds gangsterism as a part of its survival strategy. Because we must get rid of the garrison mindset to allow our country to thrive. Because the lack of success in leadership must now be seen as proof of corruption, and we can see what Andrew Holness has produced, which proves where the money was spent. And because we just got marked them spending over $1 billion on criminality, although them still in opposition, much less when them turn government. Think on these things, my people. Peace out.